Good afternoon to you. I'm Stephen Curtis. Glad you're with us on Newsfeed this afternoon. The company Google says it's opened its applications process for money which is available to help black companies, startup companies in the tech space. There's $4 million available for these companies. Abongile Mashele is the Senior Manager for Government Affairs and Public Policy at Google South Africa. Abongile, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. What's the money for? How does it work?
Good afternoon, Stephen, and thank you for the opportunity. The money is targeted at about 60 startups across Africa that are black-owned, focusing on IT innovation tech startups, and that are primarily located in Africa. So South Africa is one of the countries that where the tech startups served to will benefit. It's actually a regional fund that has become available. And I think the main purpose for this fund has largely been an acknowledgement that black-owned companies, there's a lot of support that is required for them, not only from a funding perspective, but in as far as ensuring that they have adequate resources that will ensure that they scale up, they grow, and they get an equitable share of the market as well. So that is the purpose of the fund.
Every expert in small business that I've ever spoken to in South Africa has always made the same point, that many white people starting businesses are able to access capital, maybe from their parents, maybe they remortgage their house, whatever, but black people, because of our racialized inequality, do not have the same ability. Are you trying to get around that with making this money available?
That is exactly the point of the fund, Stephen. I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's an acknowledgement that black people, when they start their businesses, they don't have access to the capital funding. They also don't have the access to the networks, which is also a component of what founders will have access to. So they won't only have access to the funding, which can range from $50,000 to $100,000. They will also get access to Google Cloud credits up to the value of $200,000. They'll also get access to experts from our Google teams, especially because the nature of the companies are tech in nature. So they will have access to the best skills in the world to help them to improve on their concepts in their businesses. And also the networks. I think if you talk to anyone in the entrepreneurship space, they'll tell you about the importance of networks. So they also have that opportunity as well.
So there's a WhatsApp group in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, that they get to join. I mean, that kind of thing's become very important, hasn't it?
Yes, most certainly. And I think there's also a cohort that we had in the last year that they would also get to interact with and engage with. And for us as a company, the main purpose for setting up this fund is not to, there are no terms and conditions such as share ownership like you would have with other investment schemes. So there's no requirements to hand over any component of your company to Google should you become a beneficiary. And there's also no requirements to pay back. For us, the main intention and the purpose is to grow the tech ecosystem in Africa, to ensure that the market grows, creates job opportunities, ensure that there are innovative solutions that are also unique, responding to the unique challenges of Africa as well.
We're seeing more and more that data is becoming cheaper now. Look, it's still quite expensive in rural parts of South Africa, but in urban areas, once an area gets fiber, I mean, many primary schools have got fiber just because of where they happen to be, companies give it to them, etc. So what that means is, the point I'm trying to get to is, I would imagine that we should prepare ourselves for quite a lot of really good ideas to come out of sort of cheap, reliable, relatively fast internet. I'm going to find a way to get Elon Musk into this conversation because of the satellites that he's creating. All of that together should create a situation, I would like to think, where our tech industry in Southern Africa could be about to enter a boom phase. I'm looking for a reason to be optimistic here, Abongile.
Most certainly. If you look at some of the startups that we've funded in the last year, just to look at the South African ones in particular, there's one called Kula, which is in the agri-tech space, which was focusing largely on efficiencies in the agricultural value chain. So there are those opportunities that technology allows us to look into, to innovate, to think of how we can do things differently, how to access markets that probably would not have been easy to access for us as Africans as well. So there is a world of opportunity, and I think we just need to focus on developing the skills, the agility in the market, so that we can take advantage of the growth spurt as well as the population advantage that we have in Africa.
And during the pandemic, did you find that people were, trying to find ways to make money using information? So, in other words, it was possibly quite a good moment to be in this space?
During the pandemic, we saw a lot of businesses that ordinarily wouldn't have been online, coming online, because that is the only way that you could access your market, that is the only way you could market your services, you could draw clients. So we saw a significant growth in the uptake of technological solutions in a lot of businesses, ranging from your ordinary hair salons to your restaurants and many other, your clothing shops in retail. We saw a lot of that happening. Now what we need to see is the development of a better use of technology, development of applications to improve the efficiencies in those businesses. But what we've seen is a lot of businesses are coming online, especially in the African markets.
Abongile, Mashele, thanks very much indeed. Really appreciate it.